So we will start with this, and then after that, the next session, we will have some questions and discuss matters. I want to do one more part of the Upanishad before we go. There is another beautiful Upanishad. All are beautiful, but some particularly beautiful Upanishad that comes from, like there are 4 Vedas, so Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvana. This comes from the Samaveda, this Upanishad. And Samaveda is the basis of all the music that we have in India. It's the music, in fact the Samaveda is not spoken, it is sung. And it is so important that in the Gita, Krishna, when he talks to Arjuna and talks about the glories of his being, he says, among the Vedas, I am the Samaveda, not Rig Veda, but Samaveda. So shows how important it is. Now at the end of the Samaveda, there is an Upanishad. There are a couple of them. One of the important ones is the Keno Upanishad. Keno. The Keno Upanishad comes from the Samaveda, and the meaning of Keno in Sanskrit means who, not WHO, World Health Organization, but who. So it starts by asking the question, Kene shitam patati prasitam manaha, kena prana pratama preti yuktaha, kene shitam vacham imam vedanti, jackfruit chotram ka udeva yunakti, which means Kene shitam patati prasitam manaha, means what is the first impulse that creates thought? Not what, actually who. Who is the first impulse that creates thought? The first, base, in the beginning. Who is it that creates the first impulse? Kena prana prathama prahiti yukta. Who is the one who gives the first impetus to life energy? Prana. Kene shitam vacham imam vadanti. Who is it that understands when speech is spoken? Because suppose I don't know your language, then I don't understand what you're saying, right? So who is it that understands? Chakshu chotram kaudeva yunati. Who is it that sees, S-E-E-S, sees, when I say I see with my eyes? And who is it that hears when I say I hear with my ears? We think it's so simple, I see, finished. No, that seeing is such a process that first the image goes inside, and that new memory stick recognizes the image, and it says, oh, this is so and so. And then beyond that there is a witness which says, so this is Shanti or whatever. So there is a recognizer and there is a recognition, and before being recognized it is sitting quiet without any recognition. It recognizes when the image comes inside and registers and distinguish and say, oh, this is he, not she. Everything that we see, we hear is also hearing. I hear a sound and I say, oh, this is the sound of the mosquito. There is no here, but it's a small music. I say, oh, this is a mosquito. So, who is this? What is the person who is sitting behind and watching everything? Who is behind the first impulse of energy? Who is behind everything that we think and see and speak. Then it tries to answer it by saying something which I won't say stupid because it is the Upanishad, but something very strange, by saying Shrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Mana Vajoha Vacham Saho Pranasya Prana. It says it is the eye of the eye and the ear of the ear. It's the life of the life energy. Pranasya Prana. And then it says, understanding that the great ones attained the Supreme. Understanding the witness of all that is happening, hearing, seeing, thinking, moving life. Pratyasma logat amrita bhavanti. Those great ones who understood that, the brave ones, reach the world of the immortal. The question is, who is the ID? Now, keep that force and we can go further, but let's keep just this. This thing about me, who is watching, who is hearing. How many eyes do we have actually? Is there one, or we see many? We think it is one, but we see many. When I was a child, there was an eye there. Not this eye, big eye, which is the problem for everything, that eye. That, when I was a child, there was one eye. When I grew up, the eye changed, it became different. Essence is the same, the witness. The person is changing. Then I grow up, I get married, I'm a different eye there. I've changed. Then I grow up, I have grandchildren, I have different eye. So there are many personalities, which is coming from one source, which is the witness, which is I. Okay. Now, also, although people say, oh, somebody is schizophrenic. I don't like that word. Because schizo means split. And phrenis is brain. So it means split brain. Are we really not split brained, all of us, in some way? Is one individual only split brained? Because we have so many different personalities. At home I am one person. Outside I am another person. Not me, I am saying generally. I am generally the same person everywhere. But usually, when I meet my girlfriend, I am another person. I am very charming, very nice. When I meet my enemy, I am like a Rakshasa. See this. So, I am not the same. I have many personalities. At the office, I have one personality. At home, I have another personality. When I go for a performance, I have another person. So, I am full of personalities. And sometimes one personality precedes the other, rules over the other. Sometimes the other one comes, and there is a conflict between these different personalities. The Upanishad is saying that behind all these personalities, there is one witness which doesn't change, it is the same. It's only when this is exaggerated that we say, oh, this person is not well, he is schizophrenic. We are all in some way slightly schizophrenic because we all have divided brains. They are not one. Why? Because the brain is scattered due to various interests, various attractions. But the yogi's mind is one which is not scattered, it is in unity because it has no distractions, it has no conflicts, so it's free, therefore there is only one. That is the witness or the source of all the other personalities. So the question the Upanishad asks is, who is the basic person? Not these personalities that we have, but who is the essence behind the functioning of all these personalities? Who is the essence? And that essence is not me as I think I am, but something much wider and greater than that I know of with my ordinary mind. This is my true identity. So this is how the Keno Upanishad explains and takes one, and then it says that real essence of me, which is my true personality, which is my true identity, not personality. There are many personalities, which is my true identity, has to be found. When that is found, then one is free of all the personalities. The personalities may function, but you will not get caught in that personality. I'll give you a simple example. Suppose I am a good actor. Suppose. I don't know any actors in the West, any good actors. There are good actors, I don't know their names. Anybody knows? Actor, male or female, anybody?
Mr.
Clooney. Good one.
Charlie Chaplin.
Okay, let's say, not Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin looks too much like Hitler. I know. Say, let's see, somebody like you said, Clooney or whoever. Then I'm thinking, oh, let's say Marilyn Monroe. So, now, an actor is considered a good actor when he or she does the role properly. When the actor becomes some other personality, and then she becomes that personality, right? So that's why, oh, she's a good actor. Somebody acts as Julius Caesar, he becomes a perfect Julius Caesar. Then they say, oh, this man is a very good actor. Correct. But after acting, when he goes home, if he behaves with his wife like Julius Caesar, you see the problem? So, while we have to play our roles, we should understand that they are roles and not the reality. I'm trying to explain the Keno Upanishad in a modern way. So, my identity is I'm someone else. But when I have to play these roles, I play these roles. And when I do it well, people say, oh, wonderful. So I become so attached to the role because everybody says it's so good that I forget my true identity. I am Julius Caesar. Even at home, if you do that, you'll usually be taken to the doctor to see, hey, something has happened to this guy. But it's a fact. We all do that nobody takes us to a doctor. We play our roles and then we get so attached to the roles, then we don't know what we really are. The Upanishad says that you are playing your role as M, for instance, but actually, in essence, you are not any of these things. You are more than that. You are consciousness, pure consciousness, not the role that you play. The consciousness is playing a role. When you come back and sit quietly, understand this is a role. This is what I am. So to the question, the Upanishad, who are you? The answer is, I am actually, in truth, the spiritual essence that gives me the capacity to say I, but not any of the I's that I have made for myself. When this is understood, you can play the role, but at the same time be free of it. There's no harm in playing the role. In this world, we need to play any role that we take up with perfection, no question. But don't forget that it's the role. That's all. When you're alone, quietly sitting, know that these are all, this is nothing, there is only me. And that me has nothing to do with this. It's a spark of the divine, and it is very expansive, and is not narrow. It's not a small thing, it's much bigger and wider. So understanding this is the aim of the Upanishadic teaching. And also understanding that the energy and the greatness that I very often people see in me does not belong to me, but comes from there. And then I have no ego then. I have an ego, but not too much. Without the ego you cannot function in this world. But it doesn't overpower my true essence. The image does not become the reality. The image is there, but the reality knows that it is not the image. I don't know if I'm trying to put it properly. But so this is the understanding which needs to be developed when the mind becomes absolutely quiet. And it is this wrong I that creates all the problems for us. The true I does not create any problem for us. It is called the I of the I. In the Keno Upanishad, it's called Shrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Mana Vajoha Vacham Sahu Pranasya Prana. It is the eye of the eye, the ear of the ear, and so on and so forth. Now the good news is that this real essence of me, which is not the personalities that are attached to it, but the real me in its pure form, is not different from the real you in your pure form. It is the same. In fact, it is as if there is only one ray of that I-ness which is spread into different patterns. And then in ultimate, there is only one. There is no many. The many is caused by the personality. The one is the original that sits without getting anywhere, melting into anything. But without that, none of the images can function. It is, how can you function? There has to be a consciousness which recognizes and moves. So that is the most important in the essence of your being. So to go there, you go from the outside world, you slowly separate the layers, and then when nothing can be separated, then there is that only. Like somebody said, it's like peeling an onion. You keep peeling on, peel, and finally there is nothing. But that nothing, like the first story we discussed about the seed of the banyan tree, is the something from which this whole world has come. And in our case, personally, it is that nothing from which all these somethings have evolved. So it's a going back, tracing back to pure consciousness, which is only awareness and nothing else. Not aware of this, but awareness in its purity as awareness only. When this happens, then the awareness is only looking at itself. This is the essence of the Keno Upanishad. Also the energy, the glory, the great things that we attain, they all depend on that. We think it depends on the image, the personality. It's not. So therefore the Keno Upanishad in the end gives you a beautiful story. The story is about once the Supreme Being, who is also in all of us as an essence, the Supreme Being decided to test the gods. In the Hindu system there are many gods. Agni is a god. Vayu, the wind, is a god. All nature's powers are God. And Indra is considered the king of all gods, emperor of all gods, because he is the one who rules over the sense organs, the five senses. The five sense organs which we have are called Indriyas, and the one who rules over them, the ruler, is called Indra, who rules over our sense organs. Which is why we love Indra, the god, because we love to have sensation. So the Supreme Being decided that these powers, these gods have become too arrogant and too egotistic, so let me go and test them. So he comes and stands there. They cannot make out exactly what it is, but there is something there, because the senses cannot see what is there. Something is there. So among the gods, the god of fire, Agni, ignition, without which you cannot start your car. Agni says, let me go and find out first, because I am a powerful guy, so let me go. So he goes, and he wants to ask that being, who are you? Keno, who are you? Before he asks him, that being asks him, who are you? So he says, I am fire, I am the god of fire, I am Agni. I can burn down the whole earth in no time. And one spark is enough to bring down the entire forest. I am so powerful. I am also invoked during sacrifices by lighting the fire. I am also the fire of desire. You know, desire is also like a fire. It burns. Desire is not like water, it's not live, it's fire. So, what do you say if you have an old girlfriend? What do you call her? Old flame or old water? Old flame. Why? Because fire, the fire of desire. So, it says, I am the fire of everything. I am Agni, the god of. The being says, okay, really? He takes a blade of grass from the ground and keeps it there and says, burn this. Now Agni tries all the methods possible in his repertoire to burn the tuft of grass. Grass doesn't burn. He comes back and he says to his friends, I cannot understand this being. Normally I can burn down anything, but this little grass blade I can't burn. So I'm confused. I don't know who he is. Who is this being? So the god of wind, Vayu, says, leave it to me. So he goes, and before he asks him, he asks, who are you? He says, I am the god of the wind. I can make hurricanes and storms and cyclones. Okay? He says, fine. So he says, so I can blow everything off, including you. He says, all right. So he plucks a blade of grass and puts it, same grass, and says, now can you blow this? So Agni tries all his powers of huffing and puffing and everything. Can't move the blade of grass. He says, this is confusing. So he goes back and he says, I don't know who this fellow is. I don't know who this being is. I can't blow a single blade of grass. I can blow everything up. Okay, so Indra, the lord of senses, all the five senses, who is the chief of the gods, because we live in this world because of Indra, right? Sight, hearing, all the senses. Sex, also Indra. When they show Indra in the mythology, in the old textbooks, in scriptures, he's always sitting in his palace surrounded by a cabaret and music. So anyway, so he's the lord of the senses. So Indra goes there and he's trying to find out who is this being. The being disappears. Which means the senses cannot find out this being. It's beyond the understanding of the sense organs. So, all the three of them are standing there and discussing, what is this happening to us? Till now we were so powerful. Then comes the daughter of the Himalayas, Parvati. Suddenly from abstract to the concrete. So here comes the daughter of the Himalayas, Parvati. Description is, she is very beautiful, Bahushovamana. She comes and says, what are you guys discussing? She says, this being. She says, what kind of fools are you? She says to Agni, the power of burning that you have belongs to him. He is the source. That is the source of all your power to burn. How can you burn it? It's not possible. Wind, the power of blowing that you have belongs to that being. That is the supreme being, that Yaksha. And Indra, your capacity to see and experience the senses comes from him. He is the essence of this. How can you see him? You cannot. He can see you. It's the essence. So get down your pride. You're too proud of what you can do. Understand the essence and the source is there. So, we, practically as human beings, when we get to a position, or we have money, or we have power, we forget that the source is somewhere else. And we get so proud that we try to challenge the source from where it comes. And that's the end of it. If you can understand this, then you can go within and see the true essence. And that essence cannot be defined by words, it cannot be defined by language. We try our best. The Vedas, the Upanishads, they try their best. But in the end they say, Yat vacha nabhyutitam, that which words cannot describe. We try their best. That which cannot be uttered. Well, the ancient Jewish scriptures said, that which cannot be uttered. The 4 letters that cannot be uttered. In silence it is understood. This is the teaching of the Upanishad. And if you go carefully and study the Kabbalah, you will find the same teachings out there in a different form. You will see the tree of life, you will see the Ketar, you will see the Vina, the Chokhmah, everything there. So in the ancient universal teachings, there is no difference, there is a link. But when it becomes more organized, then it loses its core. You know why the core is lost? Because then we get too interested in the outside aspects. There was a great Sufi teacher called Bahauddin Naqshband, who is the founder of the order of Sufis called the Naqshbandis. He said, if after 200 years you see a Sufi order existing, you can be sure that there is only the shell and no core. Because one gets so interested in the outer and in the organization that it is lost. So, I have a good friend of mine who passed away, who was very old. He was very fond of this story, which I'll tell you. Now, he used to come every year to Sanan and have talks. So one of his favorite stories was that once upon a time, the devil, Satan, and his very good friend, close friend, we don't know his name, both of them went for a walk, and then the devil bent down and picked up something from the grass and put it in his pocket. So his friend asked him, what did you pick up just now? So the devil said, I picked up the truth, reality, God, truth. So his friend said, if you have picked up the truth and put it in your pocket, you're finished. Because you're the opposite, you're falsehood, you're darkness. If you put the truth in your pocket, that means your days are finished, your days are numbered, you're going to die. And the devil tapped him on the shoulder and said, don't worry friend, I will organize it. This is the problem. So if you break that mold and go deep within to the core, then you see the essence. I think I've said enough. Do you have any questions? Not this, any other question also? Like she asked about devotion.
I had in the beginning you were mentioning, I think you were talking about Yama and death, and you said that we don't know what the afterlife is. And then you added, I think I know.
Sorry. I didn't think you will catch me. This is an Indian mind working. Huh? Yeah, what I said was that there is a process that takes place when the physical body is dead. It doesn't mean everything is finished. I can't prove this to you. Impossible to put it in a test tube. But for me, it's a real experience for me. That, in fact, my second book, second autobiography, The Journey Continues, is about the many lives one passes through. But there is no way I can prove it to somebody, you know. For me, it's not a theory, it's a reality. First through many lives, then finally when you've seen everything and you have fed up and say, this is all there is to it, I want to be free of this coming, then it comes to an end. So, when the body dies, there is still something surviving. Don't ask me what, how, but there is something surviving which has memory also, and which has many experiences which it has gathered in this life, good and bad. And then depending upon how to change and transform, it takes another birth, again falls into the same problem, and usually goes back again. And finally, a mature soul, seeing all this, understanding that finally what we need to do is to find out what is the true essence of this being. When this is found, there is no compulsion to come back because there is no desire left. And yet, some people do come back. Are you waiting for me to know what lives I have passed through? Then, sir, I would suggest that you read that book which I have. The Journey Continues. It's very strange. I mean, people would read it and think, oh, what's going on? This it can't be, but should read it. There are some hints, and there you will find why I am like this and why I have come in this life in this way. Because of many lives of experiences and many things that happen to the soul. So that is true. But the major question of Nachiketas was how to be free of death, which means how to discover that there is an essence in us which neither is born nor does it die. That was his major question. The other thing that comes back is not my true essence. It's again like a body, but subtle. It's not like a physical body. In Sanskrit, it's called the Shushma Sharira, the body which is very subtle, Shushma. There are many, Shushma, Kamarupa, Karana Sharira. This is going technical, but we don't have to get to that. Different layers of our being. Now, I was going to explain something which is very, very, very important and interesting, but I have to borrow it from the Mahayana teachings. The Mahayanists, Buddhists, mention two kinds of sages, perfect men. One is the Arahant. Arahant is one who has found nirvana. He is fully satisfied with it. He doesn't want to go, he won't come back on earth. I mean, there's another kind of person with a compassionate heart who has put one foot across and knows what is nirvana. He can put the other foot also on the other side if he wants. But his heart is so full of compassion for all beings on earth who are suffering and who have not found nirvana, that he refuses to put the other foot back and says, I don't mind coming back for 100 births if necessary, if I can take one person at least from here with me back to Nirvana. Such a person is called a Bodhisattva. So there is a difference between an Arahant and a Bodhisattva. I am not a Bodhisattva, but I had to come back because my master decided that I should do some work. So I am a bonded laborer. But I know I am free, but I am and after this I have
I was just wondering whether that could be related to what you said earlier this afternoon about the many personalities and the one I, that is the one which probably
that is the essence of being.
Survives and lives on.
Yeah.
Is that what you think?
No. That is the ultimate reality of my existence, but these are the several bodies which are formed due to my desires, like the personalities. Not only do these personalities exist in this life, they continue on to the next life. Not one life, many lives. So somebody said many lives, many masters. But I must tell you that I have no intention of again coming round, but now whatever work has to be done we should do and finish with it, because I have promised, I have taken a promise. I will work hard till I can do something. If I get one person who can come with me, it will be nice. I'm trying very hard. When I see people, I wonder, will they walk all the way? Who knows? But it's worth the trial. It's worth the trial when you touch and see how nice, how wonderful it is. Let me explain in a different way. See, people are so fed up of things, and so they may look very happy. They may be having everything that you would think that a person needs to be happy, but not happy really. So what happens? So they want to be free of that unhappiness. So what do they do generally? They go to the bar. In Hindi there is an expression, bar, every now and then go to the bar. And then why do we drink? Because when you have a drink, for a time being the central nervous system is kind of paralyzed. So you feel free of all the troubles. It comes back the next day, of course. So next day you go again until you become so habituated to it that you cannot do without it and you become addicted. So why in the first place you drink? Because you feel free. We are saying that we have a concoction made in our laboratories, which if you drink, you will be so drunk that you will not require any liquor for them. I'm not joking this. There is inside us a fountain of happiness which is waiting to be discovered. And one shot is enough. It's better than tequila. And there you go. You touch it and you are in something else. I know you have something to say, but let me finish. And there used to, I think in India at least, here also, people have heard of Vivekananda, Swami Vivekananda, yes. And his teacher was Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. I told you about this young boy who looked at the sky and one day Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was going in those days there were no cars in Calcutta, and the horse buggy with a couple of people with him. And then he looked out. There's a main street in Calcutta called the Esplanade. So there he looked out and saw a man completely drunk, tight as an owl, walking on the footpath and like that. So he told these guys, stop, stop, stop. So they stopped. He got off from the cart and went to this fellow and embraced him and said, hey brother, we are brothers because you are a drunk, I am also drunk. And they started dancing on the street. Now, people thought this, somebody sees it is terrible, this great man dancing with a drunk, because he said, you're a drunk, I am a drunk, so what is the difference? Let's dance together. So with great difficulty they pulled him, put him in and took him away. He went back. Now this is not the end of the story. Several years later, his disciple came to came to the West and became a famous person, Swami Vivekananda, in the Chicago address and so on. And then they built this big temple called the Belur Math in Calcutta, huge. And one day, he was sitting inside, not Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, by then he had gone. And in the shrine there, they have in those days, now there is an image made of marble. Those days there was a photograph of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa sitting like this. So, when Swamiji was meditating and he heard some noise outside, so he came out from the chapel and he saw a tall man with matted hair and a white, just a loin cloth standing there. And when he saw him, he said, do you belong to this place? He said, yes. So you see that picture there? He said, yes. Can I hug that picture? He said, no. We don't allow anybody to go into the sanctum sanctorum, so you can't hug that picture. But why? Yeah, you won't know because you may not have known him at that time. But one day, he said, I was an alcoholic, and one day I was so drunk and I was walking on the streets of Calcutta when a horse buggy stopped. And then he showed the picture. This man came out of that and hugged me and said, hey brother, we are both drunks. And we danced together. They pulled him away and took him. After that, I have not touched a drop of alcohol, but I am all the time drunk. He transferred his spiritual drunkenness to him, his ecstasy to him by hugging him. I'm not doing that, okay? So, what I'm trying to say is, we are not wasting our time in this pursuit and becoming totally dry. We also have our own parties and enjoyments in us. And we only feel sad that others cannot do it, that they have to depend on other things and chemicals to enjoy. While we have the fountain in us, why not open it like a soda bottle? It's not so complicated, please. It's simple. Open the heart. Yes, sir. You were saying something.
You have a question about being drunk. Being drunk on the mat and cushion is one thing. And then half an hour later, Elizabeth comes in and says, no, it's my problem.
Okay.
It's my problem.
Okay.
And she says, why don't you open the window?
Mm-hmm.
Then I get angry.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference, or what does it need to keep this state of needing nothing, even in such tiny challenges?
You know what? If you really have touched that fully, then nothing is a challenge anymore. Which means we need to further go a little more into this. Huh?
So touching is just
Touching is a good beginning, yeah. But then when you're fully absorbed, then you don't have this problem. I'll tell you this. Now, this happens to me. There was a man who went to the doctor, to the, the psychologist, okay? The other way around. Went to the psychologist and said, I can't sleep at night. Huh? He said, why? Well, I don't know, I can't sleep. So the psychologist said, okay, I will teach you a technique to sleep. So what should I do? He said, lie down and think that your body is being worked by small people, small little men, dwarfs. Like the Snow White and the 7 dwarfs. There are many little dwarfs working inside you. Some are working here, some are working here, some are all little red men, colored red. And then you say, little red men from my legs, go away. So they go off. Then your legs are relaxed. Little red men from my thighs, go away. And then when you reach your head, you will be fully asleep. He said, okay. He went back to his room, lay down on the bed, and then pulled the curtains, made it dark, put on some light music, and he said, little red men from my legs, go away. So they went off from there. Legs were relaxed. Now his wife had gone to India. So she came back with anklets, jingling. Ching, ching, ching. So when he had reached here, little red men from my knees, go away. He was almost here when she walked into the room. Ching, ching, anklets. He said, all little red men, please come back. You know what I mean? So, it's the other way around. I'm talking about something different. But so as long as the mind is engaged in these things, when you're in that really peaceful state, well, it doesn't matter if the window is open or closed. You know what I mean? So that we can stabilize ourselves even for a little time before the window is open. It's a big thing. Then a stage comes when even the window is open, you are still in that state. So it's like, what can I say? It's like, it needs to ferment, like yeast.
The trigger is so fast. The reaction of the trigger is so fast.
Yes. So the triggers, any number of triggers should not be able to create a reaction. It's not easy, I understand. I'm a married man myself. Anything?
I didn't read Upanishads. I just bought the book and opened the book, Manuka Upanishad, and something struck me immediately. Blind, leading blind.
Yes, the Mundaka Upanishad. Yeah. Actually, yeah. In fact, the Mundaka Upanishad is a very important Upanishad. Mundaka means shaven-headed. That's the meaning, Mundaka. So it's meant for renunciants who have shaved off their heads. Actually, it means people who have cleared all their negativities. It need not mean shaving the head. All negatives, all ego. You know why we keep our hair? There's an ego. This is this style, that style. When you shave it off, nothing. So it actually means somebody who is free from all that. Okay. Now, there are two important things in this which are worth noting. In the beginning of the Mundaka Upanishad, there is a discussion between the teacher and the disciple. The Rishi tells the student, there are two kinds of knowledge. He says, what are the two kinds of knowledge? One is the higher knowledge, Paravidya, and the other is the lower knowledge, Aparavidya, lower type of knowledge. So the disciple asks the Rishi, can you give me a list of that which is the lower knowledge so that I can avoid it and do only the higher knowledge? So he says, okay. And you will be surprised with the list. The list starts like this, lower knowledge. Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva. It's there. Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Dharvana Veda, all the Veda Angas, Jyotisha, this, that, this. So this guy is confused. He says, so what is the Paravidya? I thought these contained Paravidya. He says the highest knowledge, Paravidya, is that which takes you to the truth, which leads you to the truth, which means these, even if you study, and if it doesn't lead you to the truth, it's still lower knowledge. And even if you don't study this, if you are led to the truth, that is higher knowledge. That's the meaning. In this context, the Rishi says that there are some people who have so much knowledge, theoretical knowledge of various things, that swollen with the ego of this knowledge, they begin to think that they are spiritually illuminated and start instructing people, start teaching people. He says when they do that, it's like you would think that blind leading the blind came from Shakespeare. But 1,000 years ago, before Shakespeare, the Rishi said, Andaine vaniyamana yatandaha. That means such teachers are like the blind leading the blind, both fall into a ditch. That's what you were reading. So, theoretical aspect is one thing, actual experience is another. In fact, some people, I'm talking because I've been asked to do some work. There are people who have understood this truth and have become completely silent. Because completely silent. Because it can't be said. What can be said about something which can't be put in yes, in words. Yeah. So Ramana Maharshi, occasionally he spoke very little, but he generally was quiet. But then, because there's nothing to say about this, but the entire Upanishads, the whole literature of yoga, everything is about this. So if somebody comes to you and says, I need to learn this, if I say, what will happen? After some time you will say, I don't know, this guy is dumb. Who wants to go there? He's just sitting quiet. So you need to explain, but you should understand that whatever is explained is still words and not the reality. To catch that. We have a story that you have heard of Adi Shankara, who wrote all the commentaries on. So once when he was traveling in the south of India, he came to a village where the people came and told him, we have a son who is 8 years old. He just sits in a corner and he doesn't speak anything. Maybe you are a great yogi, perhaps you put your hand on his head and he might start saying something. So they took him there, and Shankara went there and he saw this boy sitting in the corner like this. So he went to him, put his hand on his head and said, why don't you speak? First time the boy spoke. He said, about what? He said, about what? Because the truth cannot be put in words. So everything I say is a lie. So why should I speak? So I am sitting quietly here. So Shankara said, okay, I think I have found somebody I was looking for, come with me. And he named him, it won't make sense to you, he named him Hastamalaka, which means somebody who had the knowledge of the entire Vedanta in the palm of his hand like a gooseberry. Amalka fruit is the gooseberry with which Chavanprasha is made in Ayurveda. He said, this boy held the entire knowledge of Vedanta in his hands like a small fruit, like a cherry. So he named him Hastamalaka, and he became his very close disciple. Later on, I think he headed one of their centers. So it is like that, but what can we do? We need to speak.
So, I think in India there is a acceptance and a culture that holds souls that are going for this immense spiritual journey. And here that's different.
Yeah.
And I have really a quite intense time with that, because I feel the joy of my pure being as a constant background. I've come into that place. And lately I had an awakening where I could really see how my consciousness and my mind work, and it shifted something that I don't attach into story anymore the way I did before. So what is interesting, and it's not me, it's like my deeper identity that pulls me back before I get caught into. So I feel very grateful for this, that I feel how shifts are happening. It's like a miracle, because I'm not doing it, it does it somehow with me. But I wonder, you know, I cannot cope with the speed out there anymore. I need much more time to be with myself, but I have to earn money. Now I feel very blessed. I have, since a week I have worked for an old woman. She's 96, and I cook for her lunch and I eat with her, which I feel it's not a job. The universe has given me something to do where I can really share my love and my care, because I'm a bhakti. I need to do that, and I realized I don't need to do that for men. I need to do it for the people who need it.
So,
and that's a big shift too. But and it goes all so it's too fast. It goes so quick that I sometimes I'm on a ride that I cannot. I don't know where it leads to. I'm sometimes a bit scared.
it is scary. But it will lead you to the right.
And sometimes I'm really tired. It's like my body feels like, you know, I sleep a lot.
That's okay.
Because sometimes my nervous system is a bit...
happens. All these things happen. The thing is, stay with it and allow it to work itself out. You said that in India there is a system in which, not true, in modern India it's become very less. In fact, people are sometimes more selfish than here. Really, I'm not, I would like to defend my country, of course, but it's a fact that there are very few people now who are really seriously interested in spiritual matters. Organizational, yes. Spiritual is less, because if you average Indian person wants to make money and do business, he doesn't want to do anything spiritual. Here what has happened, people have seen everything. This is Tantra, experienced everything, and now say, oh, that's all there is to it, there must be something more. There it's now the reverse process generally.
I mean, that's also, I was close to the point where I said, you know, shave your hair, go to an ashram and just...
No, but when you go there, you'll get into trouble.
I know. And so I stay here, and for me...
Good.
I
think you shouldn't go anywhere.
I go through things, and that's much more interesting to really
go. So be here, don't go and get in. I meet many people, you know, who are really very sincere souls, who have gone there and stayed in ashram after 2 years, 3 years, so they're so disillusioned. And then they come back and they don't know, then they leave everything. Even the spiritual pursuit is gone, because then you have to tell them, look, everybody is not like that. You may have had a bad experience, but it's not always so. But I keep meeting such young people. So I tell them, go back to your work. do your work, keep in touch, let's see what happens. So, carry on. Have no fear, it's not going to take you to some supportless place. When all supports go, then there is that. The ultimate support. You know? So what are we doing now? It's 3:45. Have a cup of tea.